Nike just released a brand new commercial featuring Caitlin Clark and her new Kobe shoe that she released today. And I saw this commercial yesterday on social media. I thought it was so cool. There's a shot when she's in the locker room and she opens her eye and it like turns into what looks like a snake eye, but when you zoom in, it's actually the Kobe logo.
Remember how sneakerheads all over the world began hammering their phones like arcade buttons when the Nike app crashed at precisely 10 in the morning? It was not a bug in the software. The real-time explosion was the Caitlin Clark effect, and 60 seconds, 13,000 pairs of a Kobe-stamped player edition vanished, transforming resale websites into Vegas slot machines and checkout screens into tombstones.
Nike stocked about 14,000 of these, and that is an unconfirmed report, but they sold out in less than a minute. If that's any indication of what a Caitlin Clark signature shoe will do, I think Nike better continue to get on it and get ready to launch this brand.
A'ja Wilson's carefully crafted signature phrase, meanwhile, was sitting a few tabs away like a courteously disregarded RSVP. The drama is more compelling than a summer film, and welcome to the largest business course adjustment the swoosh has made in decades. Nike pumped marketing gold into Wilson's brand for 2 years in a row. We're talking about story-driven colorways and personalized symbols. Commercials were directed by Malia Obama, who received the royal treatment. The objective was very obvious. Let the sales come in as you crown A'ja the next queen of women's hoops. T made sense on paper. Olympic champion, two-time MVP, and charismatic for days. However, there was a small issue. Caitlin Clark was setting NCAA record books on fire like post-game confetti as Nike was busy planning Wilson's heroic voyage. SportsCenter had to rerun every logo in Range 3. Each quote from a press conference generated 1,000 tweets. Her mere presence increases TV ratings and triples concession lines, making her a walking highlight reel. Nike didn't get much attention from the market.
Finally delivers Caitlin Clark PE. Is this the first Caitlin Clark exclusive Nike commercial since she's entered the WNBA? I know she's made a cameo here, she's made a cameo there, she was featured as part of this rollout here, featured as part of this rollout there, but is this our first official Caitlin Clark solo commercial since she has joined the WNBA?
On draft night, Clark signs a $28 million 8-year endorsement deal, but there is still no standalone sneaker. Rather, she wears reused Kobe 5s. There is no personalized narrative or unique logo, just sheer performance. Even before they were placed on the shelf, Wilson's handcrafted marvels were being surpassed by those hand-me-downs. T was similar to seeing a stadium act outsold by a garage band. This band was the only one with backup vocals from a whole state and only Clark's senior season. Iowa saw an increase of $82 million.
But I just felt like across the board, this commercial was a 10 for 10. And a lot of people have been getting on Nike because they don't feel like they have been promoting Caitlin as much as they should. But I will say we have to give credit where credit is due. I feel like in the past month or so, they have been tweeting about Caitlin more. And then obviously with this shoe release, they made this super sick commercial to promote it.
At last, Nike blinked. Before the internet went crazy, they approved a limited edition Caitlin Clark x Kobe PE and hyped it for like 5 minutes. When the Trainers app first launched, it flew the white flag more quickly than you could say got them. While bots applauded and resale price tags soared up from $190 retail to $600 faster than you could refresh docs, shoppers blasted screenshots of problem notices.
This morning, for $190, that was the going rate for the signature sneaker. Now, I'm here to tell you, as you guys can see right here on Google, just type in Caitlin Clark Kobe 5. StockX. Currently, right now, they're going for $345. On GOAT, they're going for $386. And Flight Club, you're looking at $375. Must mind you, these sneakers was just released a few hours ago. These sneakers were retail for $190. This is the Caitlin Clark.
Outside of a Dick's Sporting Goods, enthusiasts set up camp for the night because it seems that Black Friday now has a summer follow-up named Clarkmas. Wilson's most recent decrease contrasts with that. Stock? Still easily accessible. Hype? At best, lukewarm. In October, Nike's clearance pipeline is humming like a leaf blower. The numbers are truthful. Before shipping labels were printed, 13,000 pairs sold out in 60 seconds, bringing around $2.50 million. 100 to 220% secondary market markup in 2 hours. Google Trends rises on the morning of release. Clark searches were 8 times faster than Wilson's. Social perceptions. Wilson's sneaker hashtag was overshadowed by the hashtag Clark Kobe, which became a global trend. Or put it another way, Caitlyn used the digital economy to her advantage rather than merely selling trainers. Wilson is undoubtedly a legendary talent, but sneaker culture depends on narrative, scarcity, and unquestionable star power. Nike met the first two requirements for Asia, luxurious storytelling and limited production, but the customer base was never drawn in. Her collection read less like a must-have fashion flex and more like a sentimental family album that you could lace up. Conversely, Clark exudes natural excitement. She draws attention to herself rather than begging for it. She doesn't require think tank slogans or choreography. She'll take care of the marketing if you give her a ball and a semicircle painted 30 feet from the rim. Beyond ardent hoops fans, that genuineness strikes a chord. Everyone can relate to Clark's brazen range, whether they are middle schoolers, weekend warriors, or your uncle who acts like he could have played D1 like MJ in the early 1990s. She bridges generations, no memo is needed. This is the point at which the tension becomes explosive. Wilson has openly advocated for greater respect, sometimes justly, sometimes passionately. She has made references to media prejudice, alluded to double standards, and questioned why her recognition isn't accompanied by the same enthusiasm.
I lost all respect for A'ja Wilson. I don't want to hear her opinions. I don't care what she has to say from this point on. When you keep a Nike deal 2 years in secret while you're spewing all that crazy stuff about Caitlin Clark in the Time magazine, read it. Read what she said in the Time magazine. Yet you had a Nike deal the whole entire time?
Wilson's corner perceived Nike's turn toward Clark as a corporate betrayal. However, from a financial perspective, Nike was losing out on potential earnings by failing to join the largest attraction in women's sports since, well, arguably ever. Social media went DEFCON 1 when Wilson was criticizing Clark's privilege while allegedly carrying a covert Nike extender in her back pocket. Supporters started picking sides. Hashtags turned into battlefields. Additionally, brand managers were forced to mediate a culture war proxy that they had no desire to host.
And all this was done while the shoes being developed, while the collections being done. To demonize Caitlin Clark and try to label her as a privileged white girl that's getting all the privileges, even though she earned everything she got. This ain't about color. This is about good and bad. And I find this a little evil. I find this evil. This is beyond bad, because you had the ability to speak up and say, hey, everybody, relax. Don't get on Caitlin Clark. She got a shoe deal. That's cool. I got one too. Mine's taking a little bit, but it's going to come out. Just be patient. She could have came out and said that, but she didn't.
The new location then appeared. The lights in the locker room flicker, Clark's eyes open, Kobe's emblem flickers like the pupil of a snake, and then 30 seconds of cinematic swagger. Just promise and performance. No moralising or diatribe. Overnight, it received millions of views. Sneaker bloggers gave it a perfect score. Executives in the advertising sector said it was long overdue. Children just referred to it as fire, to their credit. Nike appeared to finally grasp the task. Don't push the phenomenon. Instead, feed it, however. The timing highlighted the amount of money they had spent trying to create excitement elsewhere in order to reach the obvious conclusion. The market had to pull the swoosh, kicking and screaming.
I find it's very deplorable to me. I find it's very deplorable that you allow Caitlin Clark to get crapped on that whole entire time and even speak up. And on top of that, Nike's a bunch of a-holes too, because they didn't speak up and defend Caitlin Clark or speak up and say, hey, we got A'ja's shoe coming. Just gotta be patient. Caitlin Clark's gonna get hers too. I don't understand the tactics here. All you're causing controversy that didn't have to be there. You're calling division where it didn't have to be there. You're calling racial, issues where it didn't have to be there.
Let's take a closer look. Road game sold out stadia the previous year averaged half full during Clark's first season. When her name appeared on the marquee, TV viewership increased by more than 200%. Local pubs have Clark watch parties, as do rival cities. That's the distinction between statistics and narrative. Wilson CV shines. Gold medals, rings, and MVP awards. However, every 48 minutes that Clark is on the court, her story takes a turn for the worst.
So it's finally here. Caitlin Clark sneakers from Nike is finally dropping. She was signed to them last year, and the sneakers is a year late in my opinion, but nonetheless I'm excited because these sneakers is finally coming out. But what does annoy me a little bit is that this is a collaboration with Kobe. Now, Kobe, respect to Kobe, the legend, rest in peace, great basketball player. But in my opinion, Caitlin Clark is a big enough star and she's creating her own legacy. So I feel like, at least for her first sneaker, it shouldn't be a collaboration with any other player, dead or alive, in my opinion. I feel like Caitlin should have, for her first shoe, had her own original design just for her. No.
Emotional equity, or the feeling you receive when you lace up excellence, is what brands thrive on. A rate not seen since the Jordan 90s. Clark turns that emotion into trades. Wilson's statement, on the other hand, is more appealing to a specialized audience that supports representation. Yes, it is important. Scalable, although not at quite the same speed. According to sources, as share prices fell to a 5-year low, former Nike basketball marketing lead Jordan Rodgers openly chastised the firm for ignoring Clark. Imagine being underutilized on your own squad as the biggest needle mover in sports disappears from your options. It's like watering the lawn instead of finding oil in your backyard. CC-driven server stress tests are now used by ExactX as KPIs. When the signature shoe eventually drops translation, please make sure we don't crash. The pivot is a wager that Clark's ceiling is extremely high as well as an admission of previous misreads. Naturally, Wilson isn't overjoyed. She has tweeted cryptic statements about respect, escalated criticism portraying Clark as affluent, and observed a shift in public opinion. Nike was even accused by the controversy of contributing to divisiveness by remaining silent. In a different world, patience, friends, a press release, and the athlete's impending autographs could have allayed the strain. Instead, hot take napalm was added to the Hoover. What does Wilson's line stand to gain from this? Collectors, ardent Aces fans, and advocates for her cause will purchase it. However, the mainstream tide has already been selected. Instead of following Clark's escape train, Wilson could be better off focusing on her strengths: defense, charisma, leadership, and carving out a unique route. Algorithms are outsold by authenticity. The athlete has an inherent aura. The buyer will detect it even if you A/B test 1,000 taglines. Scarcity is still in charge. Server crash caused by a single limited drop outperforms unlimited supply of 6 lukewarm releases. Discussion is superior to campaigning. Every time a child acts out her logo 3 in the driveway, Clark's brand expands. That cannot be storyboard, be early rather than flawless. Nike almost missed the wildfire while they waited for the ideal rollout. In the era of viral content, speed is more important than edge polish. Nike is already accelerating Clark's first real signature line. According to insiders, the spoke logo, the new silhouette, and the particular last for ladies. Imagine the mayhem during the holiday season when Clark 1 arrives at full family size if the PE sold out in an instant, or you anticipate larger production runs. Read between 100,000 150,000 pairs, but there is still enough scarcity to satisfy eBay sharks. There will be subsequent international releases. Kobe retros are beloved in Asia and Europe, and Clark's connection gives them contemporary significance. Wilson will try whether narrative changes may rekindle demand in his next colorways. Anticipate WNBA themed pop-ups, community-driven activations, and collaborations with social impact organizations. Well done. However, Clark's mainstream headwind is an uphill fight. T wasn't simply shoes that Caitlin Clark sold. She caused a paradigm change. She revealed the difference between genuine magnetism and manufactured marketing. She reminded boardrooms that superstars are anointed by consumers, not committees. She also demonstrated that sometimes letting excellence speak for itself is the finest form of advertising. Only when the audience had begun to sing did Nike join the chorus. The question now is whether they will continue to play the song that they unintentionally silenced for far too long, or if they will revert to corporate deafness while another company takes advantage of the situation. There's no doubt that everyone will simultaneously refresh their browsers the next time Clark puts on his shoes. And the goal is obvious if you support Aaye Wilson. Rework the playbook, convert the clamor into fuel, and remind everyone why your name used to be on those same strategy decks. Because boxes of shoes ultimately don't give a damn about press releases, hashtags, or sentiments. Flight is important to them. Caitlin Clark is currently in the air. Before the hype becomes unreachable, everyone else is rushing to find a ride. Let the algorithm know who truly controls the court. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and leave a basketball in the comments if you're here for the rise. I'll see you in the next one.